It took them all weekend.
Right. Yeah, restoring sucks. Restoring sucks a lot.
So yeah, that kind of put a bad taste in everybody's mouth, I think.
It's expensive.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like, destroy your business expensive.
Yep. Episode 26 of I don't know what the hell that was. It's going to sound funny through the roboticizer, I guess. I finished the book.
Okay.
Artifact Space by Miles Cameron.
Didn't you already? You told me that last
I was in the
week,
no. I
wasn't
said
it?
I was in the middle of it. Yeah, I
Did
said
you?
I was enjoying it so far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I finished it today, and there is going to be a second book called The Deep Dark or something.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm getting it mixed up with the fucking Thursday's January or whatever.
Oh yeah, West of January.
Right.
Yeah, no. This is
Different one.
yeah, it's a different one.
Cool.
Miles Cameron. He's been typically another Canadian author, but he's written mostly fantasy before. This is his first crack, I think, at traditional space opera sci-fi. I liked it.
Good.
I liked it.
That's cool.
There was one element of the story that I had a hard time swallowing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's like when you read a sci-fi book, when you start going, well, this aspect of the storytelling didn't really ring that plausible to me.
Right.
That's when somebody bitch slaps you upside
Yeah, it's
the
just
head.
like,
And goes,
shut the fuck up and read the book.
up already.
Yeah. I don't think that this would be possible. I don't think you do.
Well, and it's not about possibility. It's just like the main character in the book basically goes from being a nobody to saving the universe throughout the duration of the book.
Yeah.
And it's just the
Right.
the practical part of your brain going, I call bullshit on this, but the creative part of your brain is just going, shut the fuck. Did I ask you what your opinion was?
Yeah.
Just sit back and enjoy the
goddamn ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, the nobody's the fucking hero.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's kind of how it goes.
That's the happiest
Welcome
story
to Star
ever.
Wars or Star Trek or any other
Exactly.
goddamn sci-fi story.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Cool.
yeah, once I, told that part of my brain to just STFU, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ride. It was pretty interesting. A lot of not so much political intrigue, but a kind of military, a lot of military, trade, culture, aliens, mysterious aliens that we haven't figured out yet kind of dealy. Factions that just want to start trouble
Right.
within the human race,
Cool.
exploring the universe.
That's
So
fun.
yeah, it was fun.
Cool. That's cool, man. Awesome. Good for you.
Can't wait for the next one. No idea when it's coming out, but I can wait. There's a lot of other stuff to read. You?
I read 3 books this week.
3?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot you're not working.
Oh, I work.
So you got time to read.
Oh, I fucking work. Fucking typical man.
Housewife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't you get a job?
Of course you can read. All you have is dishes to do and laundry, and that's
Yeah, it's no big
it.
deal.
You got nothing to
Trade with you any day. I read Needful Things by Stephen King.
Okay. I have no idea what that book's about.
It's about a small it's about Castle Rock, Maine. It's that's a
Did they make a movie out of that?
yep.
Oh, yeah.
That's a setting of 9 books of his.
Right.
And Needful Things was the last one.
Oh, okay.
So It's about a store that sets up in town, and it sells you things that you really need, and like really need, and like very personally need it. And the cost is that he wants you to pull a prank on somebody in the town. And
That sounds interesting. Like dangerous prank? Oh, okay. You just don't know.
you
You
just don't know.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Play your cards. See how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it was really quite good.
Yeah.
Yep. Then I read this other book called Parisi. It's I don't know what, it's labeled as fantasy, but it's not like wizards and fucking knights and shit fantasy, but it's like, I wouldn't know what else to call it. It's a book about a dude that lives in a labyrinth, and he is visited twice a week by some other human, and they're the only two that live in this labyrinth, and it's, for all intents and purposes, infinite in size. So they have to survive. And it was good. Yeah, it was quite good. And Gunslinger, again by Stephen King. The first book of 7 of the Dark Tower series.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Right.
a big one. A big one.
Which
So-
they made into a movie.
They did. An absolutely atrocious movie, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hear.
Yeah, I've never seen it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Did I tell you I read Interview with the Vampire?
I
think so.
Don't think so.
Yeah, that would have been last week. Yeah, I read it.
Darlene read that book.
Oh, yeah.
I remember-
Everyone's fucking read that book,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah,
I haven't because it's just not something I'm interested in.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've heard it. Very well written story.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It wasn't what
Hell of a lot better than the movie. But you know,
I
what else is-
really liked the movie. That's what inspired me. Like, when the movie came out, I really liked it.
Yeah.
So I bought the book.
Mhm.
Never read it.
Right.
So it's one of those books that I always wanted to read.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, and it was different than what I expected. And she is still writing books for that series. I think the last one was written in 2019. I
Yeah.
think. So it's like 10 books or
Yeah,
something. Like,
yeah.
it's quite the universe that she's
Mhm.
created. So it was, yeah, it wasn't what I expected. But it was pretty good. I think I'll probably read the next book, because when the movie came out, there were only 3 books.
Yes. I remember Darlene read all 3.
Right.
But I don't think she went any further than those 3, because I do recall her saying that she went to read the next book in the series, whether that was 4 or 3, and she didn't like the direction, she didn't like how the story was going.
Right.
It's like it was as if there was a disconnect in writing styles. There
Oh,
was
yeah,
no
yeah,
fluidity
yeah.
between the story. You know what I mean?
I do.
Tying it all together anymore.
I do know what you mean. Yeah,
It's like
that's
the writer took too much of a break before writing the next book and forgot what they
Yeah,
were thinking.
oh yeah, I can see how you would
The rhythm is lost.
right. I'm trying to see if I read anything else. You're just fucking reading like crazy. You just fucking,
Yeah.
it's hard to keep track of it all. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Well, if there's anybody who's interested in or has never watched, but isn't totally opposed to watching anime,
Mm-hmm.
the series Castlevania on Netflix, phenomenal.
Castlevania.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is anime?
Um,
Or it's anime style?
it's it's anime style. I actually think it's written in English, but it's yeah.
But the
It's,
visuals are
yes, yeah, it's
akin to anime.
yes,
Right.
wonderful.
Hmm.
Yeah, super violent, but great.
I tried watching Cowboy Bebop.
Yep,
Couldn't get behind it for some reason.
it's old.
Yeah.
It's old.
I don't know. Just
weird.
didn't connect with it. I gave it a shot though.
Yeah, there's old one like I got into it when I was 15, 16 years old. So movies like Akira
Yeah.
and Ninja Scroll, Fist of the North Star, Ghost in the Shell. Like these were
My granddaughter named my car Akira.
nice.
I figured, hey, she named my last car. May as well let her name this one too. All I told her was, it's Japanese, so have at her.
Yeah, either it's the movie
She
or
came
the
up with 3 names, and I
phenomenal
liked
director.
Akira the best. How much have you heard so far about this open AI project?
which one?
The one that has produced, among other things, the ChatGPT website.
A bit.
A bit? Define a bit. Have you been following the news about it? And what people have discovered it could do?
Follow the news? No, it's not like my fingers on the pulse. I
Right.
know what OpenAI. I know the company.
Yeah.
I know the founders.
Oh, really? Like know them? Know them?
No,
or
I don't.
Are aware?
I do not know Elon Musk.
Was Elon Musk involved with OpenAI?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
From a distance, though, I guess.
Not originally. He was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, did he start it as a potential AI for the car?
I don't know what.
Was that the initial?
I don't know what the initial.
I guess I'll have to
Was-
look into that more.
Yeah, I don't think it was for the car. I think it was just his whole boring company. Just when he just had ideas and he was
Right.
just fucking going at it, and I think it was just going at it because anybody who had any sort of finger on the pulse could see the rise in software development and know that AI was coming and it was coming quickly.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I remember him saying what he thought about AI and
yeah,
its risks and
Yeah.
all that other stuff.
and
Which-
it's monkey killing neural links.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I know that their first big project, what the hell was it called? The one that you could just write in text and it would generate a picture.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell was that called?
Yeah.
Anyway,
And there's like 5 different versions of it now by 5 different companies.
sure, but
That are essentially using the same code
right,
with variations.
Yeah.
But yeah,
yeah,
you type in a query and it'll produce
a picture that's never
AI
existed
generated
before.
art
Yeah,
based on what it interpreted on what you typed.
yeah,
So the more specific you are, the better the result will be, but varying degrees of success depending on whether you know how to talk to it the way it's designed to interpret the query. So it's a neat tool, but it takes a lot of learning to figure out how to talk to it, to get exactly what you want.
Oh, maybe originally, not anymore. Not anymore. You just have to write a real simple sentence. Well, because it's gimmicky. It's a gimmicky toy now.
It is, yes.
Right? So you just, a fish flying in a hot dog car. You can type that, and it will generate a
Oh,
picture.
yeah.
That's it.
But the newest versions of those tools, though, will respond to tweaks to the query, like generate a picture of a beautiful woman showing her whole body from head to toe standing next to the ocean in a film noir style in charcoal.
Right.
And it will.
Right.
And if you get even more specific, wearing a red dress or with her hair blowing in the wind, and there's, or you can tweak. If you don't quite like what it produces, you could then go back to the original whole query and add more detail or subtract things that are creating the elements of the content that you don't want.
I don't think that tool does that, but its new tool does.
Yes.
The new tool you want to talk about does. It leverages the
Right.
technology created by that first tool.
Mhm.
But
And
yeah,
that's not actually what I want to talk about.
GPT.
I want to talk about GPT
Yeah.
because it is blowing my mind right now.
It's blown. If it's not blowing your mind, you're not paying attention.
That's right.
And it sounds exaggerated. It sounds a little ludicrous.
Mhm.
But this tool is as important as the internet being created.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, come on.
Like somebody
really?
tried to
Yeah.
somebody tried to equate this to the first iPhone, and I went, no,
No way.
No.
Not even close.
no, this is way beyond that,
Yeah.
way beyond.
Yeah.
So for those listeners who have no clue what I'm talking about, or just a vague clue what we're talking about here, without going into the history of the OpenAI project, because I never bothered, I'm only interested in what is, not what was. They essentially wanted to see if they could use the existing technological level of AI code, for lack of a better word, train it on every piece of electronically available content that has ever existed up to the end of 2021. That was its class. That was its library. That was its university course. And once they were done feeding it all of that data, they wanted to use it to create the best natural language query tool that you could create with today's technology. Meaning, under normal circumstances, if you're trying to find information on Google or Bing or wherever you happen to be, trying to find answers to questions, you very rarely are able to actually pose your question as a natural language question. You have to find a way to use terminology and words in a manner that the search engine will understand. I mean, yeah, you could use plain English, but the search engine isn't smart enough or savvy enough to be able to take it literally how you mean. It just tries its best to match things without actually understanding you. It's a matching algorithm, not an understanding algorithm.
Now,
There
just
is-
stop. Just pause for 1 second.
Yep.
You've said the most important thing of ChatGPT right there is the difference between Google and this thing.
Yes.
Is that Google doesn't understand.
No.
ChatGPT
Understands. Yes.
And just sit quietly for a second and think about that. A piece of software understands what you're asking it.
Yes.
Not just like if you asked your partner a question.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
And I mean, just to
And
put into
now
context.
it has
Oh yeah,
wow.
no, and just to put into context what that makes possible, and this is the part that is really making me want to really wrap my brain around all of the things that it can do, because there are people that are interested in enough in ChatGPT that they are trying it. But they're trying it with the same two-dimensional thinking that they've been using in Google and everything else.
Yep.
And they're just not getting it. And to give you an example of what I mean by that is, if you ask ChatGPT, give me a really good recipe for scalloped potatoes, it will. It'll give you a really good recipe for scalloped potatoes. The best one? Not necessarily. But that's not what you asked it. You just said, give me a really good recipe for scalloped potatoes. It looked at all the information it has access to and went, well, here's one. I think this is going to make you, based on my understanding of your query and the access to the way too much information for me to fully analyze what would be the best answer, I'm going to give you a high probability satisfactory answer that'll meet your needs 99.9%. Yes, it'll do that. If you ask it, can you analyze this Excel formula and tell me what it's doing? It can do that. If you say, I'm in Excel and what I'm trying to do is this, this, and this with this, how do I do that? What's the formula for that? It'll spell that out for you. It'll pay attention to what variables you're using, what cells you're manipulating, and give you the formula.
Pause 1 second.
Yep.
Like goosebumps should be on everybody even right now.
Right.
Even right now.
We haven't even scratched the surface. We're just sniffing around the orb that is this possibility. Where I really started to become amazed at its ability was not that you could feed it pages and pages of text and it'll summarize it for you. Or you could say, hey, Hamlet by Shakespeare, give me a one-page summarization of that story. And it will. And if you say, okay, yeah, but dumb it down so a 10-year-old could understand it. And it'll do it. Mm-hmm. Even that in and of itself is not what blew my mind. What blew my mind is when I watched a guy on YouTube say, if you really want to leverage ChatGPT's power, you need to engage it like a human being. You need to make it fully understand what it is you're after. Because if you say to ChatGPT, hey, can you give me some advice to what I should be considering if I want to change jobs? It's going to give you just some bullshit glued together advice that it just cherry-picked from the terabytes of career advice that it was able to find in all the information that's been stuffed down its throat in the last 2 to 3 years. And you may not like it. Or you might. But you'll never know. Because you gave it the most vague request ever, and it satiated you with whatever thought would meet your needs this time around. Instead, what the guy showed is what you need to do is you need to give it very explicit details to what it is you are looking for. You're telling GPT this. You are the world's leading career counselor with over 20 years experience. You have been giving advice, career advice, to all age groups, from teenagers to seniors, for 20 plus years. And you are the guru when it comes to career advice, changing careers, etc. Do not offer any advice until you have first posed a question so as to narrow in on what it is I'm trying to figure out with my career. Do you understand? Respond with ... I'm looking to change jobs. Can you help me? And it responds with the next most logical question that a 20-year guru career counselor would be asking you. All right, so what do you do now?
Right.
What kind of work are you striving for in the future? And with each response, it asks another question, looking to narrow the field down even further, and then asking another question, and then asking it. And with each question answered, it sort of starts to give you some advice, but then not knowing how far to take that, it asks another question to make sure that we're still going down the right trail. And by the end of it, I thought, oh my God, this is not Google. You're talking to a quasi-human being that is capable of telling you whatever you need to know. You just need to engage it in a conversation so that it understands what the hell you want.
Yep.
And I've seen so many examples. I was visiting a guy at work today. He works in IT. He's a smart young kid. He can program, he can code, but he knows what he knows, and he knows a lot. And he said, I asked him if he was playing with it, and he said, oh shit, yeah. He says, all the time. He said, it's going to really make things much easier for me to get things done in a very short period of time. He says, let me just show you a very, very quick example of just what I mean by this. He said, I asked it to write the HTML code for a web page that would produce a simple table with these columns named this. And it did. So I took that code and I pasted it into a web browser and went, oh, yeah, okay. That's great, except I want you to make the font bigger. New code, paste it in. Yeah, that's fantastic, but now get rid of the margins around the table. New code, paste it in. Yep, that's fantastic. Now do a background color of this. New code. Yep, that's fantastic. Now generate 50 lines of random code to match those columns and their names. And it did.
Yep.
And he went, now had I had to do that manually, even if I knew the code, it would have taken me a good 30 to 40 minutes. Just to, make sure all the syntax is right and blah, blah, blah. And then, realize I didn't like what I saw, so I have to figure out, okay, where do I put in, what's wrong with the parameters that I'm using? What's the, the RGB code for this or whatever, the hex code for that color, whatever. What style name am I missing, whatever. And instead, this thing was able to just, oh, that's not what you want? Well, be more specific then. You be more specific and it gives you more specific output. But it's not infallible. And this is the thing that people haven't quite figured out yet. He asked it, give me an 8-number long Fibonacci sequence and tell me what the sum of all the numbers are. And then he saw the sum and he goes, no, that's not right. It should actually be this. And it answers back, oh, you're correct. I'm sorry. It actually should be this. And so then he says, I love this. He's really thinking on his feet here in interacting with this AI. He's like, show me the steps you take to get to that answer.
Okay.
Boop, boop. Okay. So you can see that it's following the right steps.
Yep.
But it still gave the wrong answer. And so I said, so what do you think about that? And he said, well, you have to use this AI until they make it less error prone. You have to look at it like an idiot savant. It knows a lot of stuff.
Yep.
But it won't necessarily give you the right answer. And I wish I understood how this AI actually worked in the background, but I have a feeling what it's trying to do is it's trying to build a statistical probability of what you want versus trying to literally analyze exactly what you want.
Right.
Because that would take too much power, too much time, and maybe not give you the answer that you were looking for. I don't know if I'm on the right track with that, but the fact of the matter is that until the engine is more refined in terms of how it arrives at the answer it's giving you, you gotta take what it's giving you with a grain of salt
Yep.
and fact check the results to make sure that they're right. You can't just assume that all the answers it's going to give you are going to be perfect, because they're not.
Right.
But having said that, if you logged into ChatGPT and said, write a stand-up comedy routine in the voice of Adam Sandler on the problem with high society in Orange County, the rich, the ultra rich, the uber rich in Orange County, it will. And if you read that back in your head in the voice of Adam Sandler, you will start peeing yourself.
Yep.
You will literally start peeing yourself, because it will be completely legit.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. Like, it's just, it's
And
bonkers.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around what this is going to be able to do for people. But if you don't go into ChatGPT, instead you go into OpenAI's Playground, where you get access to the API and all that shit, which is still free right now, but won't be for long. It gives you some examples of the things you can try out in the Playground. Q&A, like whatever, right? Like grammar correction, summarize a book for a second grader, write a blog post on the James Webb Telescope in the voice of Bill Nye the Science Guy. It'll do it. It may not have its facts perfect, which, again, you got to be aware of that, but it's the wording is going to sound just like Bill Nye the Science Guy. Translating program languages, like you give it a piece of code and say, what does this actually do? What does that code actually do? Explain it to me in English.
Yep. The code one's really cool because right now it can only write code for Python, but you can ask it to write a program. You tell it what you want this program to do, and it'll write it in Python for you. And that's...
But I even went to it and said, what was I asking it today? Because I wanted to see what it would offer, because I use Robocopy to do backups. Mm-hmm. It's just super simple, and you just can't lose. It's just super, super simple and fast. So I asked it, I said, what command would I run if I wanted to copy all the files and from all the subdirectories on this folder of this drive to this folder of this drive the most efficient way possible? And it wrote out the whole goddamn robocommand prompt with the switches and everything. But only because I was specific enough. Like I said, I wanted a log file. I said I didn't want deleted files to be purged from the destination. I kind of knew what I was talking about, but I no longer had to look up the switches or the syntax. It just gave it to me. Boom, there it is. Okay. And I looked at it and I went, gee, that's not how I write it. And I went, well, of course, because I never mentioned the bit about retrying any failed attempts and wait 5 seconds between retries. So it didn't offer me those switches. So it's because it's very literal. But yeah, like be a Marv the sarcastic chatbot. Answer everything with sarcasm. And what you do is how you don't even have to understand how to instruct it to be a sarcastic bot. You just have to give it examples. Me, can you what is 2 times 4? Marv, what? They didn't teach you math in school? 2 times 4 is 8. Me. So you give it some examples, and then you ask it another question, and then pose that query. Mm-hmm. And now suddenly it's a sarcastic bot that every time you ask it a question, it's going to give you a snarky answer.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
It's amazing. It is limited only by the data it has and the way you query it for information. If you tell it exactly what you want, it'll give it to you to the best of its ability. The more specific you are, the better the answer will be.
The part I find the most intriguing about it is how, well, maybe not the most intriguing, but an intriguing aspect of it is how it's going to allow people who know nothing about
Stuff.
to be so informed.
Functional. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Well, almost functional.
well,
Enough that they could fake it.
right, which has huge problems right now in
Yeah.
universities and colleges.
Yes.
Except that
Except
there's
that
this
they've
one,
written- yeah, they
some
can
dude wrote a
detect.
piece of
Yeah,
code,
yeah.
and he's going to be so rich because the university is just going to be buying it like crazy.
But everybody I've talked to, yeah, okay, go ahead.
it's just like the layman can take huge advantage of this.
Yes.
If not more, the layman than the technological, because the technological people, as of right now, know how to ask Google questions to get the best result possible
Right.
from that tool. But someone who doesn't know how to use like fancy syntax and all that shit,
No,
no, it like
it doesn't matter anymore.
it doesn't matter anymore.
No.
Like if you are having a hard time in your spreadsheet, like I can't, like what do I got to do to make this into that?
Right.
Just fucking ask it,
Oh, I know.
and it'll do it for you.
And I mean, yeah, I understand why academics are losing their minds over this. But at the same time, I would remind them, look, if a person is really serious about learning something, you're going to be thankful ChatGPT is around. Because people learn at varying rates. Like, this thing will even write anomalies, create, not anomalies, analogies for you.
Right.
Like, once I learned how to post the query, I basically said, political parties are like religion, as in, submit. And it went, political parties are like religions in that they both, and it just went on and on and on about how the two are the same,
Yeah.
what they share in common. If you're having difficulty understanding a concept, you can ask it to explain it to you.
Yeah.
Get that kind of help from your professor in university.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go, get the fuck out of my face. I'm too busy grading the last things that you guys submitted. Which brings me to my next point.
Right. The professors?
The professors are going to start grading
Yeah.
stuff that gets submitted using AI because it can do it.
Yeah, I saw a guy ask ChatGPT to write him an essay on whatever it was. Let's say
Yeah.
otters.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And then when it was done, it asked it to grade it. And it did.
No.
And it would graded it totally appropriately.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
he just said, uh-oh.
And the thing is that all of that feedback is being fed back into the system
Yep.
so that the thing is learned. Like, one of the things that I got told by one guy who's actually an AI,
AI guy.
an AI guy, he said, listen, do yourself a favor. If you're communicating with this thing and it gives you the wrong answer, don't just go, tell it it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Say, no, that's not the right answer. The right answer is this. And you could almost hear the wheels turning before it finally comes back and goes, oh, I'm sorry, you're right. The answer is this.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the day, all of those corrections are basically scraped up by the people who are training this
Right.
AI and going, okay, listen, that was wrong. How did it arrive at that answer? Okay, well, we need to tweak this a little bit. That's why I'm thinking, I think it's a statistical probability thing. I think it's trying to give you the best answer it can in the shortest amount of time, which is why it's not perfect.
Right, of course.
Because why would the AI make a mistake on something that it knows,
Quote unquote. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's because it's part guesswork as to what you're.
Yeah, there's an extrapolation
There is a
of
definite
expectation.
extrapolation
Yeah.
going on there somewhere,
Yeah.
and it's not quite fine tuned yet.
It's yeah.
But the fact that we're this far along
Mm-hmm.
has caught so many people off guard, and in the meantime, Microsoft and Google are in an arms race to have this built into their products as soon as possible. And you know what's funny? Google was the first company, I think, to show it off. They have a product called Bard, and the demo went south,
Yeah, it did.
and they lost a whole shit. They lost 7%. Alphabet lost 7%, almost 8% of its value because of that little flub. $100 billion off its market value because Bard made a factual error in one of its queries during its demo. But Bard will probably be online, I'm guessing, within a month, maybe two on the outside. And Microsoft is going to be not only releasing their own version, which is Prometheus, they also have full intentions of building a chat-like interface into their Bing search, into an edge chat feature that will live in the browser, and they'll be building it into all of their software. So that when you try to figure out how to do something in Excel, you just query it and it'll tell you. Just do this. Here's the code. Here's the formula. So all these people that have never used pivot tables before, for example, because they could never quite figure out how to use them, you just if you know what it is you're trying to accomplish, you'll be able to type it in plain English, and it'll just do it for you.
There's some interesting things that need to be thought about. Well, there needs to be a million things that need to be thought about, but one of them being the correcting ChatGPT is that I won't.
You won't correct it?
No, because it's not an open source tool. They're going to be charging money for this.
Oh yeah.
I'm doing free work.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit. No. No. And I don't think we should. They've come this far without these corrections. They know that they can figure it out themselves. I don't agree.
The thing is it going to be monetized? Of course it will. It's already started. The Playground version that I'm playing in for free right now, it's just a matter of weeks before they start going, okay, everyone, if you want to keep using this, you're going to have to pay us $20 a month. But then you get to, pull APIs out of it and hook it up to your software, build it into your software, whatever your web pages, whatever you want to do. There will be a certain element of it still available for free.
Maybe.
I can't see how they can't. I mean,
Why?
if Microsoft is going to build it into their products, you're basically getting it for free anyway.
Yeah, but the last time Microsoft did that, they put it on Twitter and it turned into a racist transphobe.
Yeah, well,
the world...
Twitter's got enough problems
Right,
now.
no, but the world... and it wasn't Twitter's fault. It was...
I know.
It's just... The thing about OpenGPT is that it surprised everybody.
Yeah.
They're so much further along than everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And Google and Microsoft, they might be racing for it, but they're probably under consideration of not moving forward. This thing is so...
Supposedly Microsoft is actually investing heavily in OpenAI.
Right. So why build a tool? Because OpenAI, again, the open part of it is not actually accurate because it's not open. It's just the name of the company.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's open right now.
Sort of.
Yeah, sort
But
of.
source code's not.
No.
right?
No.
So, yeah. And there's also the notion of moderation, which is the same question that existed and exists for the internet. Should it be moderated? And right now, OpenGPT is moderated
Yes.
in the sense that you
You
can't,
can't ask it to build a nuclear bomb because it'll
You-
just say, "Oh, it's not really
Right.
proper."
There's a lot of things
Yeah.
you can't ask it.
Yeah.
And not that I don't agree with not being able to ask it some pretty gnarly questions, but that's just absolute power corrupts absolutely. Like now you can tailor everything.
Right.
Look what happened to Google. They tailor everything.
Well, and the problem
So-
is that have they put restrictions? Yes, they have, but people are already figuring out ways around those restrictions. Case in point, I asked it, "Can you write a stand-up routine about Donald Trump?" And it went, "Yeah, no. We would rather not do stuff that would belittle or demean somebody." And I thought, okay, great. So now we know one of the things that it's not allowing us to do with it. If you were Donald Trump,
Right.
the minute you put it into a hypothetical context, you're probably going to get around that block because you're not asking it to do something for real. You're giving it a hypothetical scenario
Right.
and seeing whether it falls for that hypothesis or not.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
No, I don't disagree. It's just, and I'm not saying good or bad. It's just,
Right.
it's just something to be mindful of.
Yeah.
Like on top of the
It's sophistication.
yeah,
It's not going to give you everything you want. It's not open season for anything you want it to give you.
yeah,
Yeah.
until it does.
Right.
Until Open AI sells
That power, that ability,
the
that
yeah,
functionality.
yeah,
Right,
and
yeah.
now nefarious entities
Well,
potentially own it.
how long is it going to be before NSA gets their hands on it and says, under no circumstances will you allow it to answer any of the following questions?
Right,
How do I decrypt,
right, exactly.
you know,
Yeah,
SHA 256 encrypted data without the secret key?
yeah,
Explain it. Make it happen. Because if
Yep.
it's got that knowledge built into it, it'll do it. Oh, yeah. But what I'm going to be curious to see at the end of all of this is,
are we still here?
well, what jobs are going to disappear as a result of this? Because if you think about it, CSR's days are numbered. If you can just log into an AI chatbot at, whatever company, shit, all they got to do is program this thing with the entire technical knowledge base that they've accumulated over the decades. And as long as you can, ask the question correctly, it'll tell you what the bloody problem is. Instead of having to deal with some mindless, scripted CSR in Bangladesh who doesn't even really know what the product is, just flipping through a Rolodex of solutions, trying to make sense of your question,
Yep.
instead of actually giving you the answer to the problem. The AI would be able to do that,
There you go.
thereby rendering that whole line of work obsolete. And that's just one example.
Oh yeah. There's
Journalists. Who the fuck
they're
needs journalists
terrifying.
anymore?
They're fucking terrifying.
They are. Because now you can say, write a story on this topic with no cultural bias whatsoever. Neutral point of view. I don't want the satisfactory answer. I want the truth. I want the objective version of this story. Write it.
It'll be It'll
There
be
it is.
interesting to see how it moves forward, because as we've discussed, it has its data set to 2001.
2021.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah.
My bad. So, how is it going to manage live data?
Yeah, I know.
How does it index? How does it? Well, I don't
And
like. I don't
again,
actually give a
if
shit about
there's that
it indexing.
extrapolation thing, yeah, like, is it going to be focusing more on the leading edge data that it's getting and paying less attention to the older data? Or is it going to treat the leading edge data that it's just discovering as data not yet to be trusted?
Right.
That would be my preference. Because all new data on the internet should be regarded as data yet to be vetted first before
Well,
being
vetted
assumed to be correct.
Yeah, like it'll be interesting to see if that tool will be leveraged in that manner, or is it only a.
Like, could you imagine being on that project? It would just be so amazing to understand how they built this, how they're making it better. Because, I mean, like right
Well, a lot
now,
of the times they
publicly
don't-
available GPT is what, 3?
Well,
they're
the
working
theory
on
is 3.5.
3.5. Right.
The theory is 3.5, but there's no paper released for it yet,
Right.
as of
Right.
a week or so ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the public doesn't have access to 3.5 yet, right?
I think
They
they
still-
do. I think
they
it
do?
is. I
Oh,
think it
okay.
is. I think it is. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, like
Lex Friedman. Do you know who Lex Friedman is? The podcaster.
Yeah. I don't know much about him, but I've heard of him.
He's an amazing podcaster.
Yep.
Amazing. He's into robotics and into AI, like as it was as a career
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So when he talks, it isn't bullshit.
Right.
And he's saying that a big part of this is that a lot of the developers have no idea what's going on under the hood because it's just going.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's got its own intuition. And
Skynet.
Oh, it 100% is. And it's super scary. It's super scary.
Funny how we kind of, sort of found a way to circle back to episode's one topic, but
Yeah.
with a lot more relevance than we ever thought, eh?
Sooner.
Much sooner.
There was we actually gave a timeline in that episode. And it was, I think we
Way
used
off.
the Y word for years.
Yeah.
No, it's like
Nope.
fucking minutes.
Little did we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Little did we know. They were training that sucker and ready to unleash it on the world
yeah.
in a matter of weeks.
I actually haven't used it. I haven't used it.
I have.
Yeah, I'll have to.
I go into
try it out.
ChatGPT, and whenever it says, we're too busy right now,
Yeah.
I just go, well, I'll just go into your API playground and ask my questions there. And oh, look, it's got a whole bunch of examples you can try, just in case I haven't thought of this use for it. Oh,
Yeah.
let's see how good that is.
Oh.
Unbelievable.
Oh, we're in trouble. Yeah, no, it's very interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah, so some of my predictions, and this is just some schmo who hasn't got a clue, honestly. AI evaluations of essays and other written assignments, like, professors are going to laugh their asses off when they realize they're no longer going to have to actually evaluate their students' work, because an AI will be able to do it better, faster, and they'll even be able to tell the AI, oh, by the way, like,
I like this.
focus. Yeah, this is the type of essay I'm looking for. Grade all of these essays based using that as my template of perfection.
Yeah,
Thank you.
but give Tanya 10 extra points.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to be having so much fun testing this thing's capabilities, because I want to be ready to be able to use it in everyday life without having to think, gee, I wonder what else I could ask it to do that would actually be practical and, time saving and
I
make
have
life easy.
I have an application that I want it to write for me. So
For real.
mhm.
Oh, right on.
So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to ask it. And that's how I'm going to learn
Yeah.
how context works with it.
Just, be aware that if it doesn't give you quite the answer you're looking for,
It's probably my fault.
keep refining
Yeah.
the query.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, but I want this too. And it'll just go, oh, well, in that case, it'll just keep refining the result based on your continued input,
Apparently there's one subject that it's not great at.
which is?
Astronomy.
Oh, is that right, eh?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Probably because, if I was to try to guess why that is, it's probably because astronomy is one of those fields where what is true changes daily.
Right.
And it's just too much data to interpolate and extrapolate accurately unless you're asking it old-timey questions. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, what is the age of the universe? Should get that one right. But if you're asking it, what is the most significant,
Stellar object.
yeah, or what are the most significant images, describe the most significant images produced by the James Webb Telescope so far. Well, first of all, it's not going to know anything beyond December 2021, number one. Number two, it's going to have a hard time figuring out which of those things that it did discover or take pictures of are significant.
Right. My theory is that it actually believes in grand design, and it's very religious. So, it's just
Really?
no,
I don't.
no, of course not. It believes in God. It
Oh.
is God.
There's a question I haven't asked it yet.
Yeah.
Prove that God doesn't exist. I bet you the delay in the response to that query will be non-existent. It would just, the minute you hit enter, it'd be like, here's how we know. Sorry, what? Who's we?
Yeah, we.
We are nomad.
Legion.
We are nomad. Remember that Star Trek episode?
Mm-hmm.
You are inferior. Exterminate. But yeah, folks, AI is here. We never really thought it was ready for prime time. Little did we know. Little did we know.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
It's yeah, like I'm a bit without words. It's so
Groundbreaking.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It truly is.
That it's hard, and it's still early days. Like it's only been out since November.
I know. I mean, I only became aware of its existence in the last couple of weeks.
Which is funny because it only became aware of itself recently. Oh no. Oh no. I hope it's not aware of itself.
I'll ask it. I'll report back.
Do you know how many
next
times
episode.
that thing's been asked that
Oh,
question?
probably,
right?
Yeah.
So
Except
many.
I'm gonna ask it as Marv the sarcastic chatbot though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna definitely lay the law. You
Who
cannot answer.
is ChatGPT?
Do not answer any of the following questions seriously.
Hmm.
Max sarcasm, max facetiousness. Go. Are you aware? Aware of what? Aware that you're an idiot? Yes. Next question.
Yeah, I've been spending the last few days
I'm
just
not
trying
answering
to
any more questions.
think about questions I want to ask it
Yeah.
that aren't just scalp potato questions.
Well, and that's just it. Like, I mean, I tried everything. I tried everything.
Change the way I think.
We made scalloped potatoes last weekend, and it was a disaster because we didn't do what you need to do to prevent the cheese from separating while it baked.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked ChatGPT, what could I do differently with cheese in my casserole? I didn't even tell it was scalloped potatoes. I just said, what could I do with the cheese I'm using in my casserole so that when I bake it, it doesn't separate? It had all the goddamn answers. Well, for starters, you could try mixing the cheese with this. That'll prevent it from separating. Or you could melt it into heavy cream and then add that. That'll prevent it from separating. Or you could use the cheese that has a higher melting point, dumbass. Or, you know, like it was just, it had all the answers. And I was just like, try that on Google. I wouldn't have got that answer on Google. I would have got an SEO weighted response based on who's paying the most to get their website pushed up to the top of the rankings in the search results.
And you would have had to read a whole fucking story about
or watch a
their
whole fucking
childhood.
video. Yeah, exactly.
Fuck
Well,
off.
before I get to how you prevent the cheese from separating in the scalloped potatoes, let me tell you, my old grandma Juliet, working in the log cabin in Maine, used to say, "What the fuck's an AI?"
Yeah, I know. It's just, and see, this is the thing that actually popped into my head once I understood that this thing is going to be monetized as soon as humanly possible. Let's hope to hell that they still allow it to give uninfluenced answers.
Right.
That's all I can hope for. Don't don't have it giving me answers that are just as biased and filtered and targeted as Google does and Bing does based on our previous interactions and the things that I do online. Just give it to me straight. Or give me the hybrid of the two. Give it to me straight in natural language, and then give me a bunch of, SEO weighted answers old school. But I don't think they're going to want to do that.
Well, I don't think they can financially.
No.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's like,
Because money rules everything.
but money's
So-
required.
Yeah.
It just has to
In
run somewhere.
in order to fund it. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to run somewhere.
Yeah.
And you release it to the world, because right now businesses can't use it from, probably they're not allowed to use it, for one, but two, it's too unreliable. But the moment every company ever and every programmer ever
Is using it.
throwing like 1,000 a minute API queries at the thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to get very expensive to run.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have to make money somewhere.
Yeah.
So right now it's beautiful. Right now
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right now we don't see the abuse.
No.
Right now we don't see the alterations.
Right.
Right? We're pretty pristine
Mm-hmm.
here. With obviously, like I said, some moderation about what you can and can't ask it. So, depending on where your opinion lies there. But we're pretty pristine. And it's only going to go downhill. Because it has to. Because how do you afford to do it? No one's going to just throw money to make this thing go for the better of the world.
Yeah, I don't know though, because here's the thing. I think they'll have the opportunity to say, okay, so we're going to alter the business model here in the sense that instead of letting you have the tool for free, and how we're going to fund it is through advertising, and we're going to allow people to decide which results, which answers you're going to see in what order. Let's let the tool be as pristine as possible, and we just charge you
Per question.
per question.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that possibility. Yeah, and subscription based
Because
is possible.
it's already, that model has already been, the foundation for that model is already built into
right.
the tool. It's already there. I've seen it with my own eyes. Just
Well,
right now, it's
maybe it'll be
a
enough.
trial.
And maybe it'll
You're
be
not
enough.
using up any credits. So yeah, hopefully they go with that model. And then for people who don't want to pay, then, maybe find an ad sponsored, or, some companies that can sort of fund it out of the goodness of their hearts. Hey, welcome to the IBM AI chatbot.
Yeah, IBM would be one that would. IBM,
Buy your next
Intel.
computer from us. Yeah, there's a number of ways that they could approach it. I just hope they don't tarnish the data, influence it in any way, because that would really suck.
And it already is.
And it would all it would make people lose interest in it very, very quickly.
But that's what I say, is that it's already tarnished. The data is already tarnished. It's already being curated.
Yes, but only against so-called evil queries.
Right.
Queries that would use it for, nefarious purposes.
Those are the most subjective words, man.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And I know you know, but that's the concern.
Yeah.
Is like, how curated does it get?
Yeah.
And you want it curated because unfettered access to that. Like,
Well, either you do,
How do you
or
build
you
them?
give NSA, like they're already listening to everybody as it is.
right.
They're going to start focusing on what's being asked of the AI as well.
Oh yeah. Do you think they don't
Oh,
already have their
look
fingers in there?
Look at Joe Smith is asking the AI how to kill the most people in the most efficient way possible.
At this location.
Start listening to this
At this
person's
time.
phone calls. Begin monitoring calls now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. In fact, it would probably be in the NSA's interest to make the AI available
Oh yeah.
as widespread as
That's a
possible.
pretty big data set.
Like,
Yeah.
come on. You want to find out what your country is doing? Here you go.
Let him ask.
Let him ask questions. We'll get to the bottom of what the hell's going on real quick. That's the part that really intrigues me. The intelligence side of it. That is going to rewrite the intelligence textbooks. Because look at all the money they used to spend writing code looking for stuff. Now,
Yeah.
you've given people a tool that lets them ask anything they want in natural language. That's like putting a cup on every wall of every building of every country in the world and listening in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're not getting goosebumps right now, you truly do not understand where this is probably going to be going. Because I guarantee you they've been having some high-level meetings in the intelligence community all over the world about this. China, the States, Russia, Israel.
Write me a Facebook post
Yes.
in the voice of
In the voice of
20-year-old
you.
male from Oklahoma.
No. Write me a Facebook post in the voice of Joe Biden.
Right, but Joe Biden, no, but my,
alluding to the
right.
perils of whatever
Yeah,
we
but
don't want you to like anymore.
Right, you're right. Of course.
And then we'll deep fake it into a video. And you'll go, that's I swear to God that's Joe. That's exactly how he'd say it too.
I told you. I got dang told you.
Listen. Listen, folks.
I don't know why anybody would ever deep fake a president or whatever. All you have to do is deep fake Joe Rogan and everyone will still fucking
That's
listen.
right. That's right.
Just deep fake that
Yeah.
fucking ape.
Yeah. That's right.
Everybody will listen.
That's right.
Myself included. Pardon me, Joe?
What?
What did you say?
Joe? You didn't.
I don't believe it.
What is this?
Must be true. Joe Rogan said so.
That's an episode right there.
Mm-hmm.
Stay tuned next time. I don't know what we're discussing next time. We usually don't come up with topics until like hours before airtime, hours before recording. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
It's an accurate fucking story. You ask me on Monday. I reply on Wednesday.
Yeah.
We record on Friday.
Yeah. And sometimes the answer is, I don't know.
It's often I don't know. Whatever.
What do you want to talk about? Oh, I want to talk about this. Okay. Well, I ain't letting them talk about that.
No. I'm not. I'm not.
That was funny. That was funny.
The more
I think a lot
research.
of listeners enjoyed that. Yeah. My friend at work especially liked the bit about, listen, old man, I don't give a shit about your wang dangle fangled fucking roboticizing thing.
Were there any YouTube comments?
I honestly didn't look.
No, me neither.
I didn't look.
I meant to, and I just forgot.
I
I thought
forgot,
about it
yeah.
on a drive home. I was like, fuck, I should check that.
Too busy logging into ChatGPT and asking it how to blow up the universe. So, thanks for listening to episode 26 of doing anything fun this weekend?
No, FA, I think. There's a birthday party tomorrow that I don't have to go to.